events that happen today. But Baruch Hashem and Bezrat Hashem will have Besada Dishmaya and we'll be able to put everything together and to connect everything together. Today, as we know, Rabotai, first of all, it's the Ilula of Rabbi Natan Mibresev. We're going to get into Rabbi Natan, we're going to put him aside, as well as the Ilula of Ezra Sofer. And we're also going to speak about Ezra Sofer. But today, the whole day, as we all know, Rabotai, was the fast of Asara B'Tevet. Now, Rabotai, I want to understand what is the reason that we fast on Asara B'Tevet. We know that every other fast, if it's Tisha B'Av, if it's the 17th of Tammuz, all that Tzom Gedalia, all the other fasts, Yom Kippur, they all have a reason. What is the reason for the fast of Asara B'Tevet? And a lot of the time, Asara B'Tevet is a fast, people, they don't really know about it, they don't even know what the real importance of it. Well, Rabotai, before we even get into the reasoning of the fast of Asara B'Tevet, I want to teach a very interesting halakha. As we know, Rabotai, all the other fasts, if they fall on Friday or on Shabbat, do we fast them or not?
No.
We push them. To our knowledge, the only one that we don't push is Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur does not doche Shabbat. Yom Kippur, Shabbat, we don't push Yom Kippur for Shabbat. But Rabotai, there is one more fast, that if it falls on Friday, we fast. And even if it falls on Shabbat, we fast. And it's Asara B'Tammuz. Yud Tevet. Asara B'Tevet is the only fast that we fast even if it falls on Shabbat. Now, by chance happens to be that it never falls on Shabbat. Ever. Almost it never happened. But I don't know if you remember, maybe around 10 years, a little less than 10 years ago, there was a time that fell on Friday. And we fasted Asara B'Tevet on Friday. So we see Rabotai that Asara B'Tevet is not just another fast that sometimes we take for granted. Asara B'Tevet is a fast, it's a very important fast. We all bet Hashem, we all did their effort, and that's the most important. And I want to understand what's the reasoning behind Asara B'Tevet. Asara B'Tevet is a fast that was put together because it was the start and the beginning of the destruction of the first temple. We know that who destroyed the first temple? Nebuchadnezzar Arasha. Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babel, the king of Babylon, today it's Iraq, today it's Iraq, today we call it Babel. That he was a very strong king, and something that I mentioned in the past, that the Gemara says about the king of Nebuchadnezzar, that he had so much power, that at the time when he was a king, even a bird that wanted to tweet needed to ask his permission. Meaning he was a very, very powerful, he ruled not only the ground, he ruled everything, he ruled the entire world when he was king. 2 years before he destroyed Yerushalayim, he didn't just go and like we think, brought an army and destroyed Yerushalayim. He brought his army around Yerushalayim and he built a gate. He built a wall. That this wall surrounded Yerushalayim and cut Yerushalayim off from water, cut Yerushalayim off from food, cut Yerushalayim out from no one was allowed to come in or out. And they locked Yerushalayim within themselves, and that's how for 2 years they made them suffer. For 2 years they had to eat and live on what exists in the city, which is impossible. On the day of Asara B'Tevet, on this day, marks the day of the beginning of the destruction of the first temple. And that is why it's also so chamur, because as we know, we judge a lot of the time the beginning, the start of sometimes things. We say like it's the beginning, the start of the deen of the judgment. And that is why it's a very, very tough day that we have to appreciate, respect it. Now what I want to speak a little bit about what's the connection and to try to connect all these events that are happening today. As we know, Rabotai, there were 2 Bet HaMikdash that were destroyed. The first Bet HaMikdash was destroyed for what reason? 3 reasons. 3 different sins that were done. Avodah Zarah, idol worship. The second one is Shfichut Damim. People were killing one another. They were spilling the blood of each other. And the third reason is Gilu Arayot. Gilu Arayot is Hashem Yerachem. It's like a person at Chas v'Shalom, he marries his sister, Chas v'Shalom married. It's not. It's all the people that are not allowed to be together. That's Gilu Arayot. In the first
incest.
Yes, but Gilu Arayot is not just specifically close on that.
Any unauthorized marriage.
Exactly. any unauthorized marriage. That's the best way to put it, because there are some that go into the category of Gilui Arayot, but they're not necessarily family of a brother, sister, or etc. Now, the first temple was destroyed for those three reasons. The second temple was destroyed for what reason? Sinat Chinam. Because Bnei Israel did not respect one another. Bnei Israel showed no respect. They hated one another. They didn't have love. They didn't have achdut, unity within each other. For that reason, the second temple was destroyed. Now, something that always bothered me. We know that in the first temple, there were many miracles, and in the first temple, the kedusha, the purity that existed in the first temple, did not exist in the second temple. If we look even at, there were some miracles that would happen with the avodah of Bet HaMikdash that didn't occur in the second temple. We know that in the second temple, people were buying the kimunah. People were going and paying and becoming kohanim, they were buying power to enter the Bet HaMikdash. They were buying power to enter Kodesh Kodeshei HaKodeshim. The second temple was a big balagan. It had no order, not the same kedusha. There was nothing to compare between the first and the second. The first temple was at a higher level. The second one was a big balagan. We even see the amount of kohanim that existed at the time of the second temple were much higher than the amount of kohanim that existed in the first temple, meaning that they were sinning. And because they were sinning, they were dying every Yom Kippur. So, Abotai, how can we say that the first temple, which was much holier than the second temple, was destroyed because from the three worst sins that a person can do? It's the three sins that a person yareg velo yavo. A person should die and not do those sins, but still it was much holier than the second temple that was destroyed because of what? Sinat Chinam, because they didn't respect one another. So in the second temple they respected another, but they were kedoshim, and there was no kedusha in the Bet HaMikdash. How did that make sense, Abutai? So I thought about something very interesting that maybe we can learn from this. That maybe we can say that the destruction of the first Bet HaMikdash also was caused because of Sinat Chinam. How can we say such a thing? We know that in the first temple, the tzaddikim were big tzaddikim. The kohanim were holy kohanim. The people that were in the derech of Hashem, they were at the highest level that can be. But in the same way, as we know, wherever the kedusha goes, the tum'ah runs after it to follow. Because there was a lot of kedusha, the pure tzaddikim, came along also pure Rashaim. Those pure Rashaim kept what? How many sins? The three worst sins that existed. All those tzaddikim, all those pure people, they started to grow such a hate for those people that were not tzaddikim, that hate that became, it started off as a hate because they were not keeping the Torah and mitzvot, and it became a sinat chinam. It became that the tzaddikim looked down at the people that didn't keep Torah and mitzvot, and that actually, Rabotai, was what put the roots in the Jewish generation. It rooted in the Jewish generation for the next generation to come, that is the second temple. It rooted that bad midah, that bad trait of hate one amongst the other. There's a beautiful story that this is to support that idea of why is it that the tzaddikim of that generation were a big cause for their destruction. The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat in Daf Nun Hey Amud Bet, it's the second piece of page 55 and the beginning of page 56. There the Gemara says that before HaKadosh Baruch Hu destroyed Yerushalayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought an angel, a Malach Memunim, an angel that he created him for a specific task. He gave this angel 2 pens. One pen was full of ink, like an old ink, like a pen. And the other pen was full of what? Of blood. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told this angel, I'm going to destroy Yerushalayim soon. I want you to go down to Yerushalayim, and I want you to find all the tzaddikim and write on their forehead with ink. And find all the Reshaim and write on their forehead with blood. Like that, when I send down the Malach HaMavet, when I send down the Satan, he will make the difference between tzaddikim and make the difference between Reshaim. Meaning tzaddikim he would keep alive and the Reshaim would keep aside. When that angel went down, this is actually what the Gemara says, that only one time in history, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said something and changed what he said. When that Malach went down and he started to mark the people of Yerushalayim, the Satan came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he told HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why are you making a difference? Why are you making a difference between people that kept Torah and people that didn't keep Torah? They all sinned, they're one nation, they should all be punished. So the HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, how can you even compare the tzaddikim to the people that didn't keep Torah mitzvot? These tzaddikim were pure tzaddikim, and those people that were bad, they performed the three worst sins that existed. This is the first destruction. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, there's a big difference. One were tzaddikim, one did the three sins that were the worst sins. So the Satan said, if your tzaddikim were such tzaddikim, if your tzaddikim really kept all the Torah how it's supposed to be, why didn't they send a hand to bring back those people that were far? If your tzaddikim were such tzaddikim, why didn't they bring back all those people b'tshuva? And the answer to that is simple. Because at the first temple, it was the hate between Bnei Israel, that's what started. When the people that were high in the Kedusha, they started to judge the people that were in a lower position. And that started off as this judging, and it became a hate that was put into the blood, and was rooted into the blood of Bnei Israel. And that same hate is what brought the destruction of the second temple. We see, Rabotai, that the day that we mourn it somewhat, we fast, at the beginning of the destruction of Bet HaMikdash, is the reason because of what? Because Bnei Israel, the tzaddikim, judged poorly the people that were a little bit behind. Rabbi Natan Breslev, which today is his Ilula, throughout the entire Torah of Rabbi Natan, there's one thing that he keeps on, he repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats. And what is that? That Rabbi Natan always said, you're not allowed to judge someone no matter what level he's in. Rabbi Natan always said, bring me a person that went against the entire Torah, meaning from the beginning to the end, from Bereshit to the last word of the Torah. Bring me a person that went against the entire Torah 800 times. A person that went against HaKadosh Baruch Hu 800 times, every single opportunity. And I will find place to write an entire book of this person, how much of a tzaddik he was. Rabbi Natan always searched where to find the good in the neshama of a person. Rabbi Natan always searched where to ladun adam lekaf zchut, where to judge someone, not to judge someone that he did something bad, but to judge someone for lekaf zchut, to judge him in a good way, to give him the benefit of the doubt. By giving him the benefit of the doubt, what he puts in, what he roots in his entire Torah is what? Bring merit even to those that are far. Even those that are not necessarily close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, merit them. Before Rabbi Natan passed away, they came and they asked him, they said, Rabbi Natan, you brought thousands back to Tshuva. Rabbi Natan, you held thousands of Talmidei Chachamim that were learning Torah from the morning to the night. Out of all your students, who is going to be the one that when you leave this world, you're going to be proud of? You're going to feel proud of. Now, Rabotai, for us to understand that Rabbi Natan didn't have kids, students. Rabbi Natan had people that were much older than him, that they were his students. We know that Rabbi Natan was the youngest student of Rabbi Nachman when he passed away. Rabbi Natan, which was the youngest student, is the one that actually continued Rabbi Nachman. So they asked him, who is your student that you're going to hold and have the most pride in when you go to the world to come? So Rabbi Natan, he said, there's two students that I will hold the most proud, I will have the most pride when I go up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who are those two students? And there he brings the story, and I'm going to keep it short, so that we can move on with the schedule. Rabbi Natan said that one Shabbat, at the time of Tfilat Shacharit of Shabbat, they did Keter. And I speak about it a lot, of what's the importance of lifting your hand at the time of Nagdishah, at the time of Keter, or at the time of prayer. So this person, at the time of Keter, he lifted his hands. All the Hasidim, when they saw that he lifted his hands, they realized that on his hands there's something. On his hands there's wet ink, meaning that he wrote on Shabbat. When all the Hasidim saw that, they said, what, a person doesn't keep Shabbat, he came to the shul, what is this? And they wanted to kick him out even. When Rabbi Natan saw this, he got up and went against everyone and grabbed that person and sat him down next to him. And with love, after judging this person for the right way, not saying chas v'shalom that he did something bad, but giving him the benefit of the doubt, he brought him back b'tshuva. On that student, Rabbi Natan will have pride in. The second student, Rabbi Natan speaks of, which was a student, that he was a philosopher. Now we know, Rabotai, that today, the concept of yediyah, chokhmah, is not that bad. Today, everyone has here to'ar, everyone has here a degree. It's all this, how do you call it? Diploma, degree. Everyone has some sort of a learned education. Today, this education,
like a pedigree.
A pedigree education. Today, this education, it's for the simple reason of for panasa. At that time, someone that would to learn chokhmah and to learn knowledge which had nothing to do with the Torah, it was based for one reason: to know that knowledge to go against the Torah. So Rabbi Natan in Breslev always said that there was one person which was a big philosopher. That all his life he wrote books of philosophy against the Torah, and Rabbi Natan was slowly by slowly able to bring it back to Tshuva. On those two students, Rabbi Natan holds by. On those two students, Rabbi Natan has pride. Rabbi Natan is here to teach us something very big. That it doesn't matter on what level anyone is. You can be the biggest tzaddik, you can be the biggest rav, you can be an admor. You can be also a very simple person that didn't find his way close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rabbi Natan was always able to find both of the parties of Bnei Israel and put them together. That the biggest tzaddik would stand right beside the person that's very far from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I don't like naming them names because I don't think that's necessary. But one right beside the other one, and still they would live in peace. Why? Because the tzaddik and the person that is far, they both have that light, that kedusha, that comes from the nefesh, from the soul of the Jew. And that is something that Rabbi Natan, throughout his entire life, he put and he wrote and he spoke about. And that maybe we can even, this is what I tried to, so this is what I was trying to think about. Maybe Rabbi Natan actually prayed to die on this day, that every single year on his Ilulah we will come and speak about something that he mentioned thousands of times throughout his Torah, which is the concept of not judging one another, of being in peace with one another, of Bnei Israel. It doesn't matter what level we are, but always to have that achdut. Maybe Rabbi Natan, he prayed to pass away on this day, that like that every year on the day of Ilulah, we will study the study of the Churban HaBayit and the reason that the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, and also Rabbi Natan stood by, and Rabbi Natan all his life he held very, very preciously. So that, Rabotai, is the little concept of today, the fast. Now, Rabotai, I want to speak a little bit about the Ilulah. About the Ilulah of Rabbi Natan Breslev. You know, Rabotai, before we even get into who Rabbi Natan was really, because maybe we don't all know who was really Rabbi Natan to understand where he is, in what position he is. But before we get into that, I want to explain what is the importance and what is the power that a tzaddik has on the day of his Ilulah. The Zohar HaKadosh says, he brings the word, the day that a tzaddik passes away, it's called what? Ilulah. What is the word Ilulah in Aramaic? What does the word Ilulah mean in Aramaic? Huh? Wedding. The word Ilulah means wedding. That the day that the tzaddik passes away, it's like the wedding of the tzaddik. Now, but what's the connection to a wedding and the day passed away? What's the relevance? The Zohar explains that on the day of the Ilulah of the tzaddik receives gifts from all Shamayim and from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like a chatan, like a groom. When a groom goes to the wedding, he receives a lot of gifts. He receives a lot of love, a lot of gifts, a lot of brachot. In that very same way, the tzaddik on the day of his Ilulah, from Shamayim, they give him a lot of gifts, a lot of bracha, a lot of shefa, a lot of koach. On that day of the Ilulah, the tzaddik is suddenly holding so much bracha. What does he do with it? He comes down to the world. And when he comes down to the world, he searches for anyone that prays in his merit to give him that bracha, to give him whatever he asks, because on the day of the Ilulah, the tzaddik has a lot of koach. Now, Rabotai, how do we come closer to the tzaddik in order for him to merit us and not someone else? We have to get closer, but how? So Rabotai, there's something very interesting that maybe I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it. And that is, Rabotai, the koach of mentioning the name of the tzaddik, of speaking the tzaddik, of saying the stories of the tzaddik, and especially on the day of Hilula. The Gemara says that, Amar Rabbi Shimon, when we speak about any Torah, and we mention the name of the tzaddik, so for example, we say, Amar Rabbi Natan Mibreslev, or Amar Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the Gemara says, Saftotav Madavdevot Bakever. What does that mean? When I say, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said this in the Sins Bazoar, in the grave, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, his lips move. And his lips move the same way that your lips move. And you merit Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to relearn that Torah even though he's not here in this world. When Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai suddenly is able to relearn the Torah, because we know whatever merit a person gathers in this world, that is it. He goes to the next world, he can't gather more merit. When the tzaddik feels that suddenly he's able to relearn the Torah, he's able to add more merit into his pile of merit, the tzaddik and you become what? Become partners. You benefited the tzaddik wants to return you a favor. That is why, Rabotai, it's so important to speak of the tzaddik and to say a little bit of the Torah, especially in the day of the Hilula. Because when we give them merit, they want to return the bracha. And on the day of the Hilula, they have a lot of bracha. Baal Shem Tov, the grandfather of Rabbi Nachman, always said something amazing. Always said, a person that mitasek, a person that is speaking of סיפורי צדיקים, כל העוסק במעשיות של צדיקים, כאילו הוא עוסק מעצמו הכוונה. I think I mentioned this too. That any person that speaks about the tzaddik, any person that learns the Torah of the tzaddik, it is as if he's learning the highest form of what? Of Kabbalah. Masim HaKavah. Masim HaKavah is the highest form of Kabbalah. What is the connection? If I say, Baba Sali, he did this mitzvah, he did this miracle, how does that have any connection to the highest form of Kabbalah? And the answer is very simple. When you speak about the tzaddik, what do? You become partners with the tzaddik. When you become partners with the merit of the tzaddik, you become partners with all the merit of the tzaddik. That tzaddik, he learned Masim HaKavah. Now that you're his partner, you received the bracha that he had, the merit that he studied Masim HaKavah. So that is why, Rabotai, it is very important. That is why we have candles here. We're going to light candles afterwards with the name of the tzaddik. We know that the candle is it's like bringing an extension of the neshama of the tzaddik, kinera shenishmat adam. The candle, it represents the neshama of the tzaddik. When we light the candle, we say this is for the merit of Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. We essentially bring down a part of the neshama and bring in merit to come back down to this world. That is why afterwards we're all going to light candles and we're all going to pray with the merit of that tzaddik. Now what I want to speak a little bit about who was Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. Rabbotai, we all know who Rabbi Nachman Mibreslev is, right? Yeah. How many people this year went to to Rosh Hashanah? How many people?
Not this year. Not this year.
No. So from what I understood, 100,000 people went to the kever of Rabbi Nachman on Rabbi Nachman just on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbotai, when we think of Rabbi Nachman, we say what a tzaddik, all the books he wrote, Yikutem Moran, books which were purely Kabbalah. We give so much merit to Rabbi Nachman. Well, Rabbotai, I will tell you a little secret. All the books of Rabbi Nachman were not written by Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman says, if he didn't have a student like Rabbi Natan, not even one page of the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, this is his words, would be found in a garbage of Knizah. That not even one page of his limud would come out to the world if it wasn't for the Rabbi Natan. A tzaddik like Rabbi Nachman would have came to the world and left like many tzaddikim that we don't hear of. Many Gdolei Olam that we never heard about if it wasn't for who? For Rabbi Nachman. We know that Rabbi Nachman never wrote any book. All the books of Rabbi Nachman were written by who? By Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. All the books that we learn, all the Torah of Rabbi Nachman exists because of who? Because of Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. When we see the entire generation of Rabbi Nachman had thousands of students. Rabbi Nachman witnesses that out of all the students that he had, not even one student passed on his Torah to another person. Meaning that entire generation of the students of Rabbi Nachman, there it ended. There, the lineage, the Torah, the greatness of Rabbi Nachman stopped. The only one that was able to pass on that Torah, the only one that was able to continue his learning and to actually have students of his own was Rabbi Natan. And that is something, a big secret, a big yesod that Rabbi Nachman speaks about, which is the concept we call the nikuda of a tzaddik, the rav, and the talmid, the student. A lot of the time we give so much credit to the tzaddik, but we don't give any credit to the student. Rabbi Nachman in his teaching that again Rabbi Natan wrote, speaks constantly about the koach, the power, that chibur, that a student and a teacher have. We know, Rabotai, that we can find in many places, and I'm going to mention some of them, that many big tzaddikim that never passed on their Torah to Klal Yisrael, they never passed on their Torah to Bnei Yisrael. They passed it on to one student. We look at Moshe Rabbeinu. In Pirkei Avot, Pasuk Aleph Perek Aleph, what did it say there? Moshe kibel Torah miSinai. Someone to finish the sentence? Umesara leYoshua. UmYoshua leZekinim. Why did Moshe have to pass it on to Yoshua? Why couldn't Moshe just pass it on straight to the Zekinim? It should have said Moshe kibel Torah miSinai, Umesara leZekinim. He passed it on to Bnei Israel. Why did he have to pass it on to Yoshua for Yoshua to pass it on to the Rabbim? Why is that?
He was young.
Huh?
He was young.
That is the secret, the yesod, that Rabbi Natan speaks about the koach, we call it the nikuda of the Rav and the Talmid. That in order for a Rav to bring down Kedusha, first the Tzaddik brings down the Kedusha, but the Tzaddik cannot pass it. The Tzaddik must pass it to his student, from his student he can pass it on to Klal, to many more students. And that is what we see with Moshe Rabbeinu. We see that also, Rabotai, with Ari HaKadosh. Ari HaKadosh, how many books he wrote? He wrote the 8 gates, the Shmone Sharim. Ari HaKadosh brought down most of the Kabbalah that we know of today. Ari HaKadosh didn't write any book. Who wrote all their books? Rabbi Chaim. Rabbi Chaim Vital was actually my great-grandfather. Where Pinto used to be Vital and Abarbanel. They put together. That all the Torah of Ari HaKadosh would not be existing because if it wasn't for who? For the student. Something that today I was trying to think about, something that I was trying to, maybe we can understand a little bit more about this. We could even say with Adam HaRishon, with Adam and Eve, but before Eve came to the story. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the beginning who? Who? Adam. Why didn't he create a nation already? Why couldn't Adam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu just create an entire nation? Why do you have to create one man, and then from that one man to create his own nation? The same thing, Abutai. The tzaddik, again, the tzaddik, we can't compare the tzaddik to HaKadosh Baruch Hu here. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings down the bracha. The tzaddik brings down the bracha, brings it to one student, and that one student can pass it on. So that, Abutai, was the koach of Rabbi Natan Mibreslev. That all these Torah that we hear, all the thousands of people that go up to Rabbi Nachman every year, all the thousands of people that do teshuvah because of Rabbi Nachman, the merit all belongs to Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Nachman never spoke about coming to his grave on Rosh Hashanah. Rabbi Nachman never, in any one of his books, you're not going to see where he says to come to the grave of Rabbi Nachman on Rosh Hashanah. So if it's not Rabbi Natan, who is it? It was no one. So all the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, all that complete Olam Umlo, an entire world of Kedusha came down, and all that belonged to Rabbi Natan. A few words to understand who was Rabbi Natan. We're going to go back a little bit when Rabbi Natan was a kid. To understand really why was Rabbi Natan such a special neshama. It was told about Rabbi Natan that he was born in Remenov. It's the city of Remenov. City of Remenov, huh? In Ukraine. A lot of the time, wherever been to Rabbi Nachman, when you travel, you go from Kiev to Uman, you pass by Remenov. It's one of the main cities that you pass by. So Rabbi Natan was born in Remenov. In Remenov, he had his father was a very successful man, a very rich man, a big tzaddik, a big time chacham. Rabbi Natan writes in one of his books, where did his, how do you say, his world of Torah, when did it open? When did it start? Rabbi Natan says when he was just 4 years old, Abotai, he went to the Bet Knesset. Now, Abotai, the Bet Knesset of the Ashkenazim, of that, it's not like the Moroccan, where you make sure there's 100 chairs extra. Then it was, each one has his chair, there's 100 people that pray, there's 100 chairs. So one day, Rabbi Natan, 4 years old, he sits down and he realized that one of the corners used to sit an old man. That old man suddenly was not there. Rabbi Natan, as a 4-year-old kid, looked at his father. He said, Abba, what happened? Why is that chair empty? When the father of Rabbi Natan had to now explain to his son the concept of what? That person passed away, the older man that was used to sit there, he passed away. So when the father of Rabbi Natan explained, he said, you know, we all come down to the world to fix something. We all come down to the world because we all have a mission to fix. When we come down to the world, we are preparing ourselves to go up to the next world. Rabbi Natan writes in his book that in that moment, when at the age of 4, when he understood this concept of preparing yourself to go to the world to come, on that moment he already promised himself, and he already devoted himself just to the Torah and to teaching and the preparation of a person before he goes to the world to come. Rabbi Natan, before he grew up when he was a little kid, it was not a secret that something big would come out of him. Rabbi Natan, his name, they called him the great, the aliyah of Remenov, the special tzaddik of Remenov when he was a kid. Rabbi Natan, when he was 12 years old, he got married. 12 years old. At the age of 12, he got married. He got married to the daughter of a big dayan. A little bit.
What are you waiting?
Today people wait till 40. Today people wait till 40 and they say, I'm still young, I still have time. So he got married at the age of 12. Now at the age of 12, he didn't go to rent an apartment. He lived where? He lived in the house of his father-in-law for 2 years. Him and his wife, at the age of 12, the day of his bar mitzvah, he got married. He lived with his father-in-law for 2 years. After 2 years, now what's amazing, that his father-in-law was a mitnagid. What's a mitnagid? It's the opposite of Chassidut. Chassidut is all about the tzaddik, you pray to the tzaddik, you have the mirror the tzaddik, the warmth. Mitnagid, it's the exact opposite. It's a very... You wake up in the morning, you open your Gemara, you don't close it until it's night. That's it. No spirit, no singing, nothing. It's like a... You know, my grandfather always said, you have to live like a chassid. Live like a chassid, because you can't live like a mitnagid. You have to live like a chassid. But learn like a litai. Learn like those people that they sit down and they're able to, I call it, they burn through a bookshelf. You have to learn like him and live like a chassid. But in any case, at the age of 16, after 2 years that he lived with his father-in-law, he moved back to Remenov at the age of 16. And at the age of 16, he went there to become one of the students of Rabbi Yitzchak Levi Miberdichov. That he was his student, and actually, in one of the books of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Miberdichov, one of the big Torot, one of the big pieces, was written by Rabbi Natan when he was 20 years old. And we learned that book of Rabbi Yitzchak Levi Miberdichov, but really it belongs to Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Natan was not something regular. It was told that Rabbi Natan, when he was 21 years old, he was, everyone knew that something big was going to come out of him. But him, in his heart, he felt he was lost. Him in his neshama, he felt that he was missing something. He tells a story about one day on the Melave Malka. They were missing bread. And these stories are just for us to maybe understand a little bit of the character of Rabbi Natan. Like that, when we pray, we feel a little bit of a closer connection, that we know Rabbi Natan on a personal level. That's why I enjoy speaking about these stories. So it was a Melave Malka, and they finished the bread, and they didn't want to go buy bread. So what did they do? They did a goral. They wrote everyone's names, and they said, okay, the name that comes out, he has to go and buy the bread. So they did the goral, and whose name came out? Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Natan was already a big tzaddik. He was already 20 years old. Yes, 20 years old. But he was already known to be the Ilui Miremenov, the big, the holy person from Remenov. So he had no choice. He was walking, and he had to go buy the bread. When he was walking to go buy the bread, he thought to himself, he said, this is what I'm doing with my life. I'm right now going to buy bread. All my life, from the age of 12, from the age of 4, I already started my journey to get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is my job. Instead of teaching Torah, instead of growing the Torah, I'm here going to buy bread. He says that he went into a Bet Knesset, opened up a Sefer Tehillim, went up to the Ezrat Nashim, and was reading it and praying and crying and praying and crying until he fainted. When he fainted, he had a dream. That he said in his dream, there was a big ladder that went up till the Shaman. And a ladder, sulam. Sulam mutzab aretz, that's the words he uses. He uses the same words that we say in Yaakov Avinu. That sulam mutzab aretz, ad hashamayim. That the ladder goes until the Shaman. And he's trying to climb the ladder. And he's working hard. And he's having all this effort and he's trying hard. And every single time he climbs, he falls. And he goes back and climbs and climbs and climbs and falls. And every single time he tries harder to climb, he keeps on falling. The last time, he was about to get to the top, he just arrived to the top and he fell, the tallest fall that he's done. When he fell to the ground, he said that even though it was a dream, he felt that his body was like he really fell from that height. Suddenly, a young boy walked up to him. And this young boy had a face that was zoher, like a light on this young boy. And he looked at him and he says, Al titej, don't give up. And when he woke up, he suddenly felt such a koach of this young boy, but he didn't know who this young boy was, of don't give up. Continue, don't give up. It was told that 1 year later, he heard about Rabbi Nachman, and he met a friend of his, Rabbi Naftali, came back from Uman, and he said, I was at the Tzaddik's house that I received this extra Kedusha. He went to Uman, and that is when Rabbi Natan did that first connection between the Talmid, the student, and the Rav. He made that first connection that when he realized that when he saw this young boy, who did he remember? Who was he? He was the young boy in the dream. The young boy in the dream that said, don't give up. That was Rabbi Nachman. That was essentially keeping him, telling him to continue in his path because wait a little bit. Rabbi Nachman told Rabbi Natan that one time Rabbi Nachman had a student with him, Rabbi Yudale. Rabbi Yudale was 70 years old. Rabbi Nachman was 20 years old and Rabbi Yudale was 70 years old. And Rabbi Yudale was the student of who? The student of Rabbi Nachman. At 70 years old. That's also, we can learn about the dot of emet, the truth. The age doesn't matter. There's no gava, there's no pride. The age, there's nothing. An older tzaddik, a 7-year-old admor will put his head down in front of the real tzaddik. That's how, that is the emet, the people of emet. That Rabbi Nachman told Yudale a year before he met Rabbi Natan. He said, I feel a new neshama came down to the world. I feel a new neshama that he's going to be the neshama that's going to continue my path. But he's close, but I need him fast. And that was Rabbi Natan. So Abotai, Rabbi Natan was a big tzaddik. Rabbi Natan was a tzaddik. And remember this because this is going to, in the last piece, and here I finish, I'm going to reconnect it back. Rabbi Natan, he put the roots of it doesn't matter what level you are in the Torah, it doesn't matter where you are in the Torah, you always have a place, not only in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's place, but also as us, as Bnei Israel that are close Baruch Hashem to the Torah. All of us have to see those people that are a little bit far and bring them close with love, bring them close with ahava. And that was the basic teaching of Rabbi Natan in Breslev. Today, Rabotai, yesterday, today, it's last night, we know there's 3 days. There's the day of the Hilullah, 3 days before and 3 days after. It's considered to be like an entire week of the Hilullah the Tzaddik. It's all 1 day. The entire week is 1 day. Yesterday was the Hilullah of who? Of Rabbi Ezra Sofer. Who is Rabbi Ezra Sofer? Does anyone know who Rabbi Ezra Sofer is?
From Baghdad.
Huh?
From Baghdad.
Rabbi Ezra Sofer. Rabbi Ezra Sofer was sent by the Persian Melech, the Persian Empire, with money to actually build the second Bet HaMikdash. Ezra Sofer was the one that put together Bnei Israel in order to build the second temple. When after the destruction of the first temple, all Bnei Israel spread. Ezra Sofer actually brought them all back together. We read Sefer Torah, we read Sefer Torah today in Mincha, nachon? Yesterday on Monday we read Sefer Torah. On Thursday we're going to read Sefer Torah. On Shabbat we read Sefer Torah, right? Whose tikkun is that? Ezra Sofer. Ezra Sofer was one of the main tzaddikim and put together the Jewish law and the Jewish custom that we have today. Sometimes we don't necessarily know that it's because of him, but it's a lot of it's because of Rabbi Elazar Sofer. Rabbi Elazar Sofer says something about time, and this is why no one should take today for granted. Rabbi Elazar Sofer says something about today, that today is a day of redemption. Not today like this generation. Today, now. Rabbi Elazar Sofer says that every single year, on Asara B'Tevet, on Yud B'Tevet, there is something very interesting that happens in Shammai. There is something very interesting that happens in Olam Ha'elyon, Metif Tederakia, the world above. Elazar Sofer says that every single year, on Asara B'Tevet, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gathers all the angels. And he brings all the angels together, and they sit down and they create a court. In this court, they sit down and they decide, is the Geulah going to come this year or not? Today, Rabotai, that's decided. Elazar Sofer goes further. He said, it's not just the Geulah of Klal B'nai Yisrael. It's not just the Geulah of Mashiach. It's the Geulah of every individual. It's whether, if not, the Geulah of even individual will come upon a person. We know Rabotai, sometimes we feel that we have blockage of Panasah. Sometimes we feel we have blockage of even of Zivug. Sometimes we feel we have blockage of Simcha. We have blockage in our heart. In our own heart, we're not shalem, we're not complete with ourselves. Elazar Sofer, it's like he says it in a way that we're like in a cage. We feel ourselves locked. A person that is locked, what does he need? Redemption. Anyone that has a problem, anyone that finds himself in a situation where he's locked and wants to open up his mazal, to open up his panasah, to open up whatever thing that any person, individual has, he needs a redemption. The day is the day where it's judged whether, if not, a person will receive his redemption. If a person feels that he needs a real redemption, he needs something to change, today is the day that a person should pray for it. Today not only is the day of the redemption, today it's the Hilullah, the tzaddik, that what did he preach? That every single tzaddik, every single one of Bnei Israel are at the same level. If we're able to balance all that out, we have the koach, the power of the tzaddik that can take any bracha and grant it. We have the power that today is the day that redemption is decided whether if we're going to get or not get redemption. And today is the Hilullah of who? Of the tzaddik that brought this chidush down to the world, Elazar Sofer. If we take tonight, Rabotai, tonight, not today like the generation, tonight, and we pray, we light candles to the tzaddikim, and we have the kavanah, a true kavanah, to receive help from the tzaddikim, and we have a true kavanah that we want to change our situation, today is the night. Now, tonight is the opportunity to change it. So, B'ezrat Hashem, I wish everyone, first of all, the Baal Habayit, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu give all Mishpachat Atiyas, all the brothers, Bracha v'atzlacha b'kumah se'adeh. To the school to my grandfather, that I didn't know that you were close to him. That may He protect you and your family. Everyone, for everyone here, may we all have the merit to liskot with our redemption, each one with anything that he needs. May we all find that place, that anything that we feel that is blocking us will be open, and may we all receive the bracha and the bezat Ishmaya from the Shaya Menken Yatzim. So this Divrei Torah will be for the Refah Shlema of David Ben Esther.